So friends, Trump-appointed Judge Aileen Cannon was just tested again. Took what I would consider her second test in a courtroom down in Florida to see whether she could preside fairly and impartially in a trial involving the very president who appointed her to the federal bench. How did she do on this test? Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So friends, Donald Trump's federal criminal case was up in court in a courtroom down in Florida for purposes of setting a trial date. You remember which case this is. It's the documents, obstruction of justice, espionage case. And it's being presided over by Judge Aileen Cannon, who was appointed to the federal bench by the very president whose criminal case she is now presiding over. And this would prove to be the second big test for Judge Cannon, to see whether she could preside fairly and impartially over Donald Trump's criminal trial. You may recall Judge Cannon failed her first test miserably and was reversed by the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, which found that she abused her judicial discretion by doing an enormous favor for Donald Trump, by ruling in a way the law did not allow. So now, this question of when should the trial be set was going to be Judge Cannon's second big test. Let's see how she did by looking quickly at three headlines. CNN, judge in Trump classified documents case tells prosecutors that a mid-December trial date would be too soon. This from the Washington Post. Judge seems skeptical of Trump desire to delay documents trial until after 2024 election. So of course, here is where she landed. This from CBS News. Hearing in Trump's classified documents case ends without trial date decision. Here is some of the reporting about that court hearing from the Washington Post. The federal judge presiding over Donald Trump's trial for allegedly mishandling classified documents appeared skeptical Tuesday about the former president's request that his trial, be delayed until after the 2024 election. U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon also appeared wary of prosecutors' request to begin the proceedings as soon as this year. During a hearing in federal court, Cannon did not set a new date for the trial, saying she would consider both sides' arguments and make a decision on the timing promptly. The proceedings, which lasted more than 90 minutes, highlighted the disagreement between prosecutors and Trump's defense attorneys about when the case should go to trial. This has emerged as an early point of contention in the case. Federal prosecutors have argued for starting a trial as soon as December, while Trump's attorneys lobbied for scheduling it after next year's election, saying this would help ensure an impartial jury. So it looks like, regarding Judge Cannon's second big test of whether she can preside fairly and impartially over Donald Trump's trial, she's not quite done taking that test yet. She's going to need a little more time. I guess we'll all just have to stand by. No, we won't stand back and stand by, but we'll stand by and wait for Judge Cannon to set a trial date. And friends, here's what I am kind of hoping for and maybe even expecting by way of a trial date. It seems pretty clear that she's not inclined to go with the prosecutor's repeated and thoughtful request that this case be tried this coming December, so it can be resolved well in advance of the November 2024 presidential election, and it also seems like she's not inclined to go with Donald Trump's request and push it well beyond the November 2024 election. Here's what I have a feeling she might do. You know, judges love to be Solomonic. They love to split the difference, if not the baby. So I suspect she might end up selecting a March trial date, March 2024. Why do I say March? Well, March is about 8 months from right now. That gives Donald Trump's defense team plenty of time to prepare for trial. And March is also 8 months in advance of the November 2024 presidential election. So the case will be tried, it will be resolved, it will be over well before the presidential election in November 2024. So March kind of has a nice ring to it. But as I say, we will stand by and wait to see what trial date Judge Cannon selects. Okay, friends, let me quickly turn to a related topic, and that is Donald Trump's incessant claim that prosecuting him for his crimes constitutes election interference. You know, he says the law is being used against him to interfere in the upcoming election. He has a new favorite mantra. It used to be witch hunt, and now it's election interference. Okay, who is it in that courtroom down in Florida that argued specifically for a trial date to occur at a time relevant to a presidential election? Wait a minute, that would be Donald Trump and his lawyers. They are the ones tying together legal proceedings and the date of an election. One might even say Trump and his lawyers are involved in, I don't know, election interference. And by trying desperately to convince the judge that Donald Trump should not go to trial before the November 2024 presidential election, you know what Trump and company are trying to do. They're trying to deprive the voters of critically important information that they would otherwise have if Donald Trump's case went to trial before the election. What is that information? Well, they would know in November 2024 whether they were voting for a convicted felon or somebody who was fully exonerated at trial. Don't we want fully informed voters? You know, frankly, casting a vote that is fully informed regarding the person for whom you are voting, like justice, matters. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.